Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the French Grand Prix here. The East Coast Formula One Championship is over in Le Castellet, France at Circuit Paul Ricard. Just at the end of qualifying here, my apologies, I was covering a press conference. But I am here now, right in the nick of time, and it looks like Hemi is the quickest on track with a 129.122, getting that Pirelli pole position award, followed by GSR and Hash in third. Pretty close gap. 130s all the way from third to 13th. A few drivers retired so far, and that'll be the end of qualifying here. Once again, Hemi in the AlphaTauri going fastest overall with a 129.122, followed by GSR and Hash in P3. P4 goes to Yuppie in the Alfa Romeo. P5, V Shoots. 6th goes to Smith Pell in the Red Bull. SZS Smith, Ray, Guitar Maniac, and Jay Kelly rounding out the top 10. P11 going to Silent Banshee. 12th is Detail. 13th, Evil Prime in the Ferrari. 14th, Hightower. 15th goes to Stewart. P16 is Jay Stee in the Williams. Fox going 17th fastest. 18th goes to Flavius. And the Red Bull of LFR Psycho going 19th overall with a 132.059 to round out the grid. And we're going to be ready for lights out in France. A report from the Red Bull pit wall. Projected rain for the start of the Grand Prix that may clear up, and there it is. It is pouring here at Circuit Paul Ricard. It looks like the drivers are going to need to get out their wetsuits. Alright, pardon me. So, after last week's chaos in Monaco, Hemi is currently your Drivers' Championship leader with 76 points, followed by Mo Powa with 71, so very close between P1 and 2. And we're starting the formation lap here as Hemi jumps out to an early lead. The drivers are definitely going to need to get some heat in their tires. The circuit is very wet. Your Premier League Constructors' Championship leader is AlphaTauri with 125 points, followed by Alpine in second with 101. So a bit of a gap there, but some good points can definitely close that up in a hurry. This is a very easy track to lose grip on, that is for sure. This is an easy one as they round out onto the straight here. It's easy to lose the back end and get collected by one of the barriers. As they head into the chicane. Around turn 8. A lot of high-speed sections here. It's a good mix of high and low speed sectors, that's for sure. Guitar Maniac must have had a bit of an issue there. He was disqualified from the formation lap, so he'll be sitting on the grid with some cold tires there as the cars round the final corner. As they file onto the grid to their final spots here before lights out. We got some Ferrari fans out there cheering on their favorite Ferrari drivers. Alright, looks like the grid is set. One, two, three, 4, and 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. We are racing here in France as Hemi gets a pretty good jump out ahead of the pack. A few position swaps early on. This is a tricky corner. There's a little bit of bump in there between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. But other than that, everyone makes it through decently cleanly by the looks of it. Oh, looks like Detail had a bit of an issue there, off track. Quick yellow flag, but he's recovered nicely. Evil Prime and Guitar Maniac having a bit of a Ferrari battle here. This is definitely the corner to watch, as many have lost grip here as a car goes through the Rolex sign on the outside of the track there. Silent Banshee looking for a move. Oh, and he goes down the inside of Jay Kelly. Evil Prime getting a little loose back there. Jay Kelly trying to get back his spot from Silent Banshee, but he won't quite do it yet. Fox makes up a move on Guitar Maniac as they have a drag race. He takes the outside and sticks it. Looks like Hightower's looking to make a move as well. Trying to go around the outside, but Guitar Maniac sticks it on the inside line. Oh, Hightower is trying again. Guitar Maniac just squeaks it out, as Hightower is under pressure from the Williams behind as well. That is one lap down of the French Grand Prix. As they head down into turn 1. The track is definitely slippery out there today, but the drivers are doing a good job of navigating it so far. LFR Psycho making up a move here on Flavius, as is Detail. McLaren must have had a bit of a slip up there. As you can see, the car is headed on to the Mistral Straight. Gaps have opened up quite a bit here. The closest ones down here in 13th and 14th, Guitar Maniac and Hightower. Guitar Maniac trying to get a slipstream off of Fox here, but couldn't quite do it. Oh, Fox almost lost the back end. Hemi's still hanging on to the lead with a 1.3 second gap to the Alpine behind of GSR Rompanola. V-Shoot's hanging on to a comfortable P3 with a 1.4 second gap to Hash. Hemi setting the fastest lap of the session so far with a 1:42.492 in the Scuderia AlphaTauri. As the cars come through turn 1 and 2 of Verrier. V-Shoots lost a little bit of time to romp there. The one thing is the Mistral Straight here, as you can see the car's headed down now as they get towards the chicane. That's generally a decently long DRS zone. Oh, as Evil Prime and Jake Kelly are in a battle. Looks like Evil Prime got the better of the Aston Martin. Guitar Maniac making up a bit of ground on Fox here. Trying to send it down the inside. Silent Banshee collecting a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And the Mercedes almost comes together with the Ferrari. Guitar Maniac trying a little switchback action. Won't quite get it done. As the cockpits fill up with water. Oh no! Hash lost it. Coming around the final corner. So he'll lose quite a few positions there, unfortunately, as Jake Kelly looks to catch him here before turn 1. He won't quite get there as he dips out for a little bit of downforce headed into turn 1. Evil Prime getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings of track limits. The drivers being pretty consistent here so far, which is a major... Oh no, Guitar Maniac. Spun coming through turn 4 and 5. Luckily no damage to the Ferrari, but he'll lose quite a few spots, unfortunately. V-Shoots only 4/10 back of GSR in the Alpine. Hop on board the Mercedes. Oh no, J-Stee lost it in the Williams. So he'll drop a few grid spots as well, as Guitar Maniac looks to make up a spot on him as well. And he easily gets by him. J-Stee didn't quite have the good line through there. Hemi only 9/10 ahead of GSR at the moment. V-Shoots about 6/10 back. Smith Powell in the Red Bull, sporting that nice new white livery that we saw a few weekends ago. 4 seconds back of P3, with the Alfa Romeos only a couple seconds behind. Hemi's teammate Ray is trying to make up a spot on the Alfa Romeos here, only 7/10 back of SZS Smith. Consistency is going to be key here in the French Grand Prix today with how wet the track is. It's hard to tell if it's still raining though. A little bit of bump in there between Hash and Evil Prime. Evil Prime runs wide. Hash is going to stick behind the Ferrari and try to get a slipstream. Headed down into the chicane. Wheel to wheel. A little bit of bump in there. Hash comes out ahead of Evil Prime. Jake Kelly was looking to make up some time on that battle as well, as he closes that gap to only about 5 or 6/10 off of the Ferrari. Looks like GSR had a bit of an issue there. V-Shoots makes up a position into P2 in the Silver Arrow. 1.5 seconds back of the leader. Cruise on down here. Jake Kelly still 4/10 back of Evil Prime. Trying to get that slipstream headed down into turn 1. It looks like the rain has let up as Evil Prime runs wide, collecting a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. It looks like the rain let up. It's just going to be a little bit until the track decides to dry out a little. Unless another storm cell runs in over the track here. Oh, Jake Kelly ran a little wide as well. We should see slick tires in a little while here. Hightower in a drag race down into the chicane with Fox in the Mercedes. Oh, and Fox gets a little bit of contact with the front of the Haas. Hightower luckily doesn't lose too much time as he falls about 3 seconds back of the Mercedes. Stewart was breathing down his neck as they exited the chicane there as they head down into turn 9 and 10. LFR Psycho not far behind as well. Ray still in the hunt of the Alfa Romeos ahead of him. But it should probably only be a few laps time. And race control will most likely enable DRS as the track is drying out. You can see the dry line being created here. S. Smith will take a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings of track limits. So the Alfa Romeo will gain a penalty there. As a few drivers you can see testing the limits of the track. Hemi currently sitting with a 2-second gap to V Shoots in P2. GSR Romp and P3. Smith Pell in P4. The pair of Alfa Romeos and Yuppie and Smith running P5 and 6. 7th is the AlphaTauri Ray. Hightower in P8. P9 is Hash in the Alpine. Evil Prime P10. 11th is Jay Kelly. Fox P12. 13th Hightower. 14th is Stewart. 15th is LFR Psycho. 16th is the Ferrari of Guitar Maniac. 17th Detail Jay Stee hanging out in P18. And P19 is the McLaren of Flavius. Trying to use some of that McLaren straight line speed to close that gap. Hemi just ever so slightly opening up that gap on V Shoots. Jake Kelly pretty much hanging on to the closest gap on the track right now at 4/10. He's right on the gearbox of Evil Prime as we get a shot from the helicopter headed down the pit straight. Guitar Maniac only a couple tenths. He is putting the pressure on LFR Psycho as they get down into turn 1. He takes the outside line. Oh, and a little bit of contact with the Red Bull. Unfortunately, LFR Psycho gets the worst of that battle. So he'll have to make up a little bit of ground. The one interesting thing about the intermediate tires, when the track is wet, there is no rule as to changing tire compounds, obviously. So the drivers technically don't have to pit if the race stays wet enough for the intermediates. Jake Kelly trying to get Evil Prime out of P10 here. So the drivers don't have to pit, as we saw in where was that? Turkey, I believe. Esteban Ocon held on to his intermediate tires the entire race. He didn't pit. Jake Kelly takes the inside line and makes up a spot on the Ferrari. Evil Prime won't be having it though. He's putting the pressure back on. Jay Kelly burning up that ERS, and he'll take P10. Comfortably headed down into turn 1. GSR with a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. So we'll see just what the weather does. Like I said, it looks like the rain's been gone for a little while here, so the track is going to be dry. At least dry enough for the slicks momentarily. Guitar Maniac makes up a spot. Evil Prime and Jay Kelly still in a battle here. Jay Kelly trying to stick it around the outside. Gets a good run on the exit. V Shoots and GSR pitting here on lap 10 of 27, the French Grand Prix. Quite a few more drivers are pitting now. Oh, it looks like the slicks are going on. V Shoots, GSR. Pardon me. Yuppie. Ray. Hash. Jay Kelly. S.S. Smith. Everybody rolling to these slick tires. A ton of cars in the pits right now. Hemi decided to stay out, so that opens his gap to 7 seconds on the lead. As I mentioned, you don't have to pit if the race starts on wet compound tires. So if Hemi can keep a decent pace, he can run for quite a while longer. Obviously, you know, the drivers and their engineers look to find that fine line. Oh, and it looks like DRS was enabled as well. I believe I've seen GSR's wing open. Ash in a battle here with LFR Psycho and S.S. Smith. LFR still on the intermediates, I believe. He is. We'll hop on board the Alpine of Hash. Oh, as he almost gets into the back of the Red Bull. Seemingly easy makes it around the inside. So the track might be getting pretty dry as I say that. The top 4 in the pits. We had a spun car back there. It was an Aston Martin. That must have been detail. But he gets going again. As the front few cars dive into the pits, Hemi still maintains his lead as he comes out of the pits on the softs. Guitar Maniac with a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. As Fox, Jay, Stee, and LFR Psycho all head into the pits for some brand new tires. Evil Prime and the Ferrari collecting a 3-second time penalty as well. So we should see a little more overtaking action here. We got a spun Mercedes. That's Fox as he heads through turn 1. Trying to take it quick out of the pits there as the tires aren't completely heated up. But he hangs on to P16 nonetheless. V Shoots with a 3-second time penalty. Hash right on the gearbox of Silent Banshee here. It'll be interesting to see. I'm just going to check the... Oh, gets into the back of the Haas. Silent Banshee on the mediums. Hemi chose the softs. The 4 behind him is in V-Shoot, Smith, Pell, GSR, and Yuppie, all on the mediums. A couple more softs, a few more mediums. It's a big mix between the 3 different tire compounds. But everyone has swapped to the slicks nonetheless. GSR right on the gearbox of Smith Pell here, putting the pressure on Hash with a 136.998. Current fastest lap here on lap 12. Just under the halfway mark here, the French Grand Prix. Some Wednesday night racing here in the East Coast Formula One Championship. DRS, and he'll make an easy pass on the Red Bull, unfortunately, for Smith Pell. He'll try to keep that gap nice and close and try to get a tow down the second half of the Mistral Straight. The gaps are still pretty open throughout most of the grid here. Hemi currently with a 5.5 second lead over the Mercedes of V-Shoots. Oh, looks like Guitar Maniac's mounting a bit of a run here at the Williams of Stewart. Only 2/10 back of the Williams here. We'll hop on board with Guitar Maniac as Stewart runs a little bit wide there. Guitar Maniac getting a little bit better line as he sends it down the inside. A little bit of contact. He'll get DRS though, unfortunately, so it might make it easy for him to get by the Williams down into turn 1 as he gets a full car length ahead. And that'll move the Ferrari Guitar Maniac up into P13. Stewart collecting a 3-second time penalty. Alright. So Hemi opened up the gap a little bit, 6.8 seconds on second place. We've got a spun Ferrari. That's Guitar Maniac. As JST looks to capitalize on the error. Williams will have DRS. Oh, maybe not. Wasn't quite close enough. But if he can keep that gap close enough, he will have it down the first half of the straight. We'll stick on board here. JST only 5/10 back. On board the Williams here as he tries to catch up to Guitar Maniac. He won't quite get there. He'll close the gap a little bit. Hemi with a 133.272, the current fastest lap here on lap 15. JSD's really trying to keep that gap there, but it looks like he's just... Oh, he fell outside of DRS range, unfortunately. So he won't have that down the pit straight. So that'll give Guitar Maniac the opportunity to get a little bit more of a gap. SZS Smith only 5/10 back of Silent Banshee in the Haas. Silent Banshee trying to break the slipstream. Smith is on the slightly slower tire in the mediums, but they will last a little bit longer, so I do believe the mediums will make it to the end of the Grand Prix without falling off too much, whereas the softs, it'll be pushing it, I think, to keep the car on track nearing the end here. GSR getting a 3-second time penalty, so we'll take a look at the current penalties for the drivers on the grid. 3 seconds to V Shoots, 9 to GSR as he just collected that other one, bumping him up from 6. 3 seconds to Silent Banshee and SZS Smith, 9 seconds to Evil Prime, 6 to Stewart as he just collected another. Guitar Maniac with 3, as is Fox and LFR Psycho. So that'll definitely potentially bump some drivers around. Stewart headed into the pits for some new tires. As we'll quickly watch the Williams pit team. Quick tire change onto the mediums to take him to the end of the race. 11 laps remaining here in the French Grand Prix, as Hemi sits atop the leaderboard with an 8-second gap to second place as Hash in a wheel-to-wheel battle here with the AlphaTauri. A little bit of bump in there. Ray getting the better end of that battle so far, but Ash coming right back at him as the back end of the AlphaTauri gets a little loose. Ash kept that gap on him, so he will have DRS down the pit straight. He's going to catch him before turn 1. Goes down the inside. Great wheel-to-wheel action here, as the Alpine just edges out Ray for P6. I think we're going to see another swap here, though, as Ray is still within DRS range, so he'll have DRS down the first half of the straight here. See that rear wing open on the AlphaTauri Honda. As he tries to take the outside, Hash blocks it off. Ray won't quite get there. SZS Smith getting a pass done with the help of DRS. Looks like Jake Kelly's about to as well. Goes down the inside of Hightower. Oh, and some contact there, unfortunately. Jake Kelly unfortunately getting spun around as he tried to battle it out with the Haas. Hash dives into the pits. There's Ray. We'll make up that spot, so the softs getting swapped out for another brand new set of softs. Those will take him to the end of the Grand Prix with 9 laps remaining, as Hash loses a couple spots due to that pit stop, 5 to be exact. as Guitar Maniac closes in on him. S.S. Smith only 7/10 back of Silent Banshee. Won't quite catch him. Still trying to hang on to that gap. He's sticking within DRS range, which is a giant help on this track, as he keeps the gearbox in sight of Silent Banshee. Hightower dives into the pits, as does Jay Kelly. Jay Kelly's mediums are 8 laps old, but he'll take a brand new set of softs to get him to the end of the Grand Prix. Hightower hops on some softs as well, just comes out ahead of the Aston Martin. S.S. Smith tried to make up a spot, couldn't quite get it done. As long as he stays within that gap, he'll get DRS again down the pit straight. Hightower, they're just coming onto the first half of the Mistral Straight, so this could be a pass here for the Haas. Detail blocks that inside line. Hightower just gets the pass done at the end of the braking zone. But Detail falling into that slipstream, trying to get that spot back. Stewart wants in on the action as well, as he cuts the corner, unfortunately getting a 3-second time penalty in the Williams. That'll bump him up to a total of 9 seconds, as Hash collects the fastest lap of the race with a 1:32.704 in the Alpine with a brand new set of softs. Currently sitting P10. LFR Psycho heads into the pits. Oh, and I missed it. Wheel to wheel. A drag race into the fast right-hander. And the Haas comes out ahead. Stewart with a quick move around the inside of the Aston Martin. Jake Kelly wants in on the action too, the pair of Aston Martins, P16 and 17. Hemi dives into the pits. Luckily doesn't lose too much time as he gets by Smith Pell. Hash going quicker yet. 1:32.684, about 200ths of a second. Ray collecting a new set of softs in the pits there, trying to make up some time with the remaining 6 laps. Little DRS train going here. Oh no, Hemi collects a 3-second time penalty. So he should gain a spot on GSR, but he will have to have the actual P1 placement to get the win here, as Smith is trying to get a spot here on Silent Banshee. A little bit of understeer. Whoa, Jay Kelly almost in the back of Stewart there. As Stewart collects another time penalty. They are racking up there, unfortunately, for the Williams. Evil Prime getting a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. We got a spun. Oh, not a spun McLaren. Sorry, that is Flavius. Unfortunately, getting blue flagged by the marshals. Which is unfortunate because that McLaren is quick. It's just having issues around Circuit Paul Ricard, unfortunately. Flavius doing a great job of flinging the McLaren around. Ray with a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Good exit there by Flavius. He's currently on the medium tires. They're fairly fresh though. So he did have a late pit stop. Silent Banshee with a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits in this battle with his team. Sorry, that's ZS Smith as he slows down. A little bit of teamwork maybe here late in the race. Oh no! Eva Prime makes it by Smith. Hemi getting the fastest lap with a 1:31.364. Very quick lap. Smith will dive into the pits for a late stop here. GSR with a 3-second time penalty. And I'm missing it at the back here. Jay Kelly making up a spot on Fox. Hemi got a good run here on GSR. Can he catch him before the braking zone as GSR blocks the inside line? Hemi will go around the outside. And he'll take P2 from the Williams, sorry, the Alpine. Couple cars in the pits. Jay Kelly and Stewart in a battle through turn 1. Jay Kelly getting the better end of that one. Moving up into P14 in the Aston Martin. Silent Banshee getting the slipstream with the Ferrari as he sends it down the inside. Good wheel-to-wheel battles here. Silent Banshee will come out ahead in the Haas. Hemi going even quicker, yeah, with a 1:31.239. Only a few laps left to catch V Schutz in the Mercedes. Eva Prime with DRS. ZS Smith with a 3-second time penalty in the Alfa Romeo. Used all of his ERS. Silent Banshee still has a little bit left to defend down the first half of the Mistral Straight here. Hash right on the gearbox of Evil Prime. He has a little more ERS, which might be just enough to get up beside him before the braking zone. And he'll do it. Hash moving up into P7. Hemi has cut the gap a little bit here by about 2 seconds. Hash gets by Silent Banshee as well. Evil Prime goes way wide. Evil Prime putting the pressure on the Haas driver as he'll have DRS down the pit straight. There he goes, around the outside. Around the outside goes Evil Prime before turn 1, moving the Ferrari up into P7. Cruise on down to Stewart here, as him and Jake Kelly will both have DRS. A matter of who has more battery power left. Got a little three-way battle going here between P13 and 15. Oh, Stewart getting real close to the back of the Aston Martin. Gets a better exit than Jake Kelly, but Jake Kelly manages to stay out ahead as they both get those wings open. Hightower sitting on the inside line. Fades back out to the racing line. Jake Kelly stays ahead. Silent Banshee and Evil Prime still battling it out. Oh, and Stewart makes it by wheel to wheel. Good battles here between Williams and Aston Martin. Fox trying to make up a spot here on the Red Bull of LFR Psycho, but can't quite get that done. Ray down the inside of Evil Prime. I don't know where the timing line was. Looks like Evil Prime will collect a 3-second time penalty, but he'll get DRS as well. Gets a big boost past Ray. But Ray breaks late and goes around the inside. Great move by Ray. Hemi is only 4/10 back of V-Shoots as they start the final lap. Great pace by Hemi with a few lap charge here. What do we got for penalties? Both the P1 and 2 with 3 seconds of penalties. Hemi will have DRS here so he can make a move down the first half of the straight. But he was quite a ways back, actually. I don't know if he'll be able to catch him. Not before the braking zone. Oh, this is going to be a battle. We got to stick on board. You can see some moves between the Aston Martins in the bottom portion of the grid there. V-Shoots just trying to fend off the AlphaTauri for a few more turns. Hemi is on a push. As they come through Village into turn 13. V-Shoots needs a good exit here. And he does it. V-Shoots hangs on to the win. with Hemi in P2 with a late race charge. GSR coming home on the third step of the podium. There must have been some sort of chaos here. I missed it, unfortunately. The Silent Banshee. Oh no! And Evil Prime loses it on the final lap of the race. Majorly unfortunate. Hash comes home in P6. Sorry, Smith Pell stole the podium away due to penalties. Yuppie P4, the pair of Alpines in P5 and 6. 7th goes to Ray. Guitar Maniac blows his wheel off as he crosses the line. SNS Smith will come home in P9. Jay Stee will make up a spot on penalties. Hightower P10. Details Smith, Jay Kelly, Stewart. Silent Banshee will limp the Haas across the line. LFR Psycho makes up a late position on Fox, and that'll do it here for the French Grand Prix. Your driver of the day is Jay Stee of Williams Racing. Great driving here today. As V Shoots hops up onto the top step of the podium after defending against a late session surge by Hemi. And Smith Pell taking the third step of the podium. A familiar spot for him, your Season 1 champion. And there you go, your podium. Top step goes to V Shoots. Hemi taking P2 and P3 goes to the Red Bull of Smith Pell. Hemi also getting the fastest lap, so an extra point going to AlphaTauri. P4 goes to Yuppie. P5 is GSR. P6, the Alpine of Hash. P7 goes to Ray. 8th, Guitar Maniac. 9th, Jay Stee, your driver of the day. And 10th is Hightower. Detail in P11, Smith P12, Jay Kelly P13, Stewart 14th, 15th goes to LFR Psycho, 16th is Fox. Silent Banshee will take on P17 for Haas. Evil Prime in P18, and the McLaren driver Flavius will be your final spot on the grid. See if I can't get the drivers in for a quick interview. Alright, looks like we're joined by your third place driver, Smith Pell. Congratulations on the podium.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And back where you're pretty familiar with.
Yeah, this game hasn't been that good to me moving over to 21. So the most recent update I think has helped me a bit, but yeah, feels a bit better.
Yeah, certainly. It was definitely harder earlier on, but yeah, it seems like a bit of a handling improvement. Give us a bit of a breakdown of your race.
Well, first of all, I went with a more of a rain setup, so I felt pretty good in the rain. Like my pace was, I thought in the later stages of the inner stint, I was catching, I don't know, I think it was, I forget exactly who it was, but the front runners. And then when I went to the mediums one lap too late, lost a bunch of ground. But from there on, my pace just wasn't good enough to keep up with those guys. I think I was running like, I don't know, a decent amount more downforce than I would have wanted. So, and then I ran into fuel problems, so I had to do a bunch of lifting coasts too. So, but aside from that, it was a good race. It feels a lot better racing at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, a driver, might have expected the rain to last a little bit longer, to take advantage of that high downforce setup. But
that was my hope in a sense when I made the switch, because it said it was going to go about 30 minutes into the race. Maybe it did. I'm not sure, but
well,
yeah,
it definitely didn't last that long, and it's always hard to I guess gauge just how long, like, to try and I guess make the difference up in time, because it doesn't really account for maybe the 50% race or something like that. It's hard to gauge that.
Yeah, you're just. I mean, at the end of the day, putting a little more downforce on early also keeps you from wrecking. So, keeps you whole, keeps you on the track. So there's an element to that comes into play.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, congratulations again on P3 and some good points for Red Bull, and hopefully we see you up here again next week.
I hope so too. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for joining. That was Smith Pell, your P3 driver today from the French Grand Prix. We are also joined by your P2 driver, Hemi. Congratulations on the second step. You had a heck of a race, that's for sure. Oh, can you hear me? All right, we're good. Yeah, I mean, you had some serious pace all race. You held on to the lead for quite a long time. You were one of the not the later drivers, but you stayed out a little bit longer than some of them on the inters, which panned out. You didn't pit too late. The guys pitted with you behind you, but that late soft stop might it panned out, but give us a bit of a breakdown on the strategy and such.
Well, I felt that on the inters, everyone was going in, and I felt a lap early, so I still had the pace on the inters, and so I stayed out like 2 or 3 laps longer, and then I went on the softs. Also, for my first and second stint, I had to feel safe. I accidentally put way too less fuel on that. So, on my third stint, I tried pushing as hard as I can. I came out P4, and I think I passed Smith and someone else. And I was right on the back of these shoots, and but the race was done.
It was so close. It was a good late push, that's for sure. Making up a couple late spots, and it was so close. I thought for sure you were going to catch him on that first DRS zone of the straight there, but didn't quite have the gap close enough.
Yeah, but I found around 3-4 laps behind him, the dirty air was really bad.
Yeah.
It was very hard to turn the corners understeer and all that.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't help, that's for sure, especially with a lot of the twisty portions of this track. I mean, there's a lot of straights, but you need to get some good downforce in the turns.
Yeah, and also softs were very fast around this track, doing 7 laps, so I think my tires were at 50% by the end of the race.
Oh yeah, that's pretty quick then. But it was a good late push, that's for sure. It was so close, only I think a tenth and a half behind him at the line, so if only the pit straight was a little bit longer. You might have been able to do it. Well, certainly. Thanks again for joining us, and congrats on P2. Great race. That was your second place driver, Hemi of AlphaTauri, with a good all-around drive by him. And last but certainly not least, your first place driver, V Shoots. Congratulations on getting the win here in France. How does it feel?
It's actually it's awesome. I think it's one of my best drives ever.
You definitely showed some solid pace and some clean driving today. That's for sure.
Yeah, on quali, I didn't hook up a lap, so I had to start P4 or P5, but made it work. The start made 2 positions just by getting a bit of traction in the wet, and I just went on forward.
Yeah, that definitely helps. I mean, being able to control the car well and stuff like that in the wet is a major positive. That's for sure. And like you said, making up a couple spots on the start is huge too, because a lot of guys have some excessive wheel spin and things like that. So that obviously helped your cause.
Yeah, definitely. And throughout the race, when I started my first medium stint, well, the only medium stint, I had to fuel save, and it was so hard because I was just on the limit with fuel saving and tire saving. It was just really hard to manage.
Yeah,
So I made it work till the last second.
Yeah, you definitely held on, right, like you said, right to the bitter end. Obviously, the fuel saving portion was quite common today, as you heard. Obviously, the other drivers were doing the same kind of strategy, so I guess hopefully a guy doesn't have to do that too much. Try to find that fine line of just enough fuel that you can keep the push on. But yeah, fantastic drive. Congratulations on P1. That's some good points for Mercedes. And I didn't see where we're at next week. Where are we driving next week? We're headed to Mexico City. But yeah, once again, congratulations. Great defending on the final lap there, keeping the AlphaTauri behind you, and hopefully you can transfer this over to next week's race.
Yeah, I hope I get to race this week because I'm not actually a full-time driver, but yeah, I hope.
Well, you can. Yeah, exactly. Let's hope you get the opportunity to get the Silver Arrow up on top of the podium again.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
That was your race winner here in the French Grand Prix. V Schutz, a reserve driver for the Silver Arrow. And that's a wrap on the French Grand Prix here with the East Coast Formula One Championship. As I said, next week we are racing in Mexico City for the Mexico City Grand Prix, the home race of Sergio Perez. Thanks for joining, fans, and we'll see you next week.